Man, it's been one hell of a crazy ride for Xenoblade Chronicles. I remember all the way back when the original was launching, it wasn't even planned for release in North America. Europe was getting it, and people in the States were like, why aren't we getting this game? Why isn't this RPG coming over? And it seemed like Nintendo of America just had no interest in bringing the title here, and there was a whole uproar and a whole fan movement and a lot of pestering from fans to Nintendo of America saying, hey, we want this game, bring it over. The launch in Europe went really well. The game sold well. It got a lot of attention. The support from fans over here kept growing and growing, and eventually we got the game on the Wii, and it became like one of the most notable or most renowned RPGs on the Wii. And then the game got a port to the new 3DS, and now here we are with it coming to the Switch as well. It's just been crazy to think that a game that almost never came out in North America is now such a big part of Nintendo. I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles is represented in Smash Brothers. It's a major part of Smash Brothers. There's stages, there's characters. It's crazy to think that it all started with a game that almost never released in North America. While many people would have considered that a gaming sin to not localize the game over here, I have my own gaming sin. I have never played Xenoblade Chronicles. I'm certainly familiar with it. I know all about the game and the soundtrack and the praise and all that stuff. I just never played it because I am afraid of RPGs. This is something many of you know if you've been following Go Nintendo for a long time. But in recent years, I've been trying to fix that, and I've certainly been getting more into RPGs, and they still scare me, but I force myself to get into them because I do have fun with them. I just constantly worry that I'm doing something wrong, or I'm going to get stuck in a loop where I have to grind, and the idea of grinding in a game just doesn't appeal to me. I don't want to go and drop 2 hours just wandering around an area trying to find high-powered enemies to level up and then maybe have a better chance of beating a boss. It's just, yeah, RPGs have never really been my thing, but I'm changing that, and my opinion is slowly coming around. And now I'm righting that wrong of not having played Xenoblade Chronicles because I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So in this preview, I'm going to talk about just the game in general, and then when we get to the review later, when that embargo is up, I'll have more in-depth coverage of the whole experience, including the future connected epilogue. But yes, this is just a basic talk about my time with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition so far. Even though I haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles, I can certainly notice the difference in visuals for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I'm very aware with what the original looked like, and the Switch is just a little bit more powerful of a system than the Wii, so yeah, the game has gotten a complete graphical overhaul, and it looks quite nice. The game was really impressive on the Wii for what it did, especially when you consider the size and scope of the game. But yeah, the Switch version, hands down, is the nicer looking version. You can tell that it comes from a generation that was a while back because it's not as polished when it comes to animations and things like that. And to tell you the truth, Monolith Soft's animations when it comes to cutscenes and things like that have been getting better. But if you're just talking about regular in-game discussion cutscenes, the animation's a little stiff. As I said, they've gotten better, but Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition really shows the roots of being on the Wii because it's a little stiff and a little robotic. It might take you out of the experience a little bit, and the camera angles and camera movements in those cutscenes are much the same. So while it visually looks better, there are still some hallmarks in there from a previous generation. Nothing that ruins the game, but you'll certainly notice it. Again, the soundtrack for Xenoblade Chronicles was highly praised because it's just absolutely gorgeous. Monolith Soft does a lot of excellent music in their games, and Xenoblade Chronicles was really the game that put them on the map when it came to soundtracks, and this version of the game, Definitive Edition, has a rearranged soundtrack, and it's just as gorgeous. I've listened to the Xenoblade Chronicles soundtrack even though I haven't played it, and I greatly enjoyed it, and what's here is even better. It's just, you know, a revamped version of what you heard the first time around, and I do believe the original versions are in there too, if you'd like to hear that. So if you're not down with the new versions, you can go back to the classic style. But yeah, it's an absolutely gorgeous soundtrack. I've been playing with headphones, and it's just phenomenal. The sweeping tunes and the different songs for towns and how things shift from day to night, and it's just really, really good stuff. Absolutely beautiful soundtrack. It's hard to talk about an RPG story when you're in the middle of it, or actually when you're in like the first third of it for me, because I'm playing through it now. But there are some details that I can discuss. You play as Shulk, and he is trying to figure out the secrets of the Monado, which is a sword that has the ability to take out a specific type of enemy when other weapons can't do the trick. And Shulk knows that there's other secrets hiding within this sword, but he doesn't know what they are, and he doesn't know how to unlock them. All he knows is that not everyone can wield the Monado. The one guy who could did so with great harm to his body. He could take control of the Monado and get some things done, but it could also take control of him, and he would lose himself basically. And that happens in the story, and he ends up getting hurt because of it, and unable to fight as he used to. So Shulk sees this happen, and he dedicates his time to doing research on the Monado to try and unlock its secrets. As you might suspect, Shulk finds out that he is able to wield the Monado when others cannot, and he's not sure why he can do it, and he's not sure all the abilities that are still within the sword, but now that he has the power to wield the Monado, obviously he's going to be the one to set right the wrongs that are going on in his world, whether he wants to or not. He's kind of thrust into the situation. So your standard RPG stuff, but I won't say that it's not enjoyable to see happen. And there's some early story beats that are certainly interesting and certainly have made me motivated to adventure forth and make me want to see the mission through to its end. It's always tough to discuss this kind of stuff because this game originally came out so many years ago, and the story is the same in this remake, but I don't want to spoil things for people. The stuff that I shared isn't really spoiler. Well, I guess technically it is spoiler, but it's early on in the game, so you know it's not like I'm revealing anything late game or even mid game wise. I'm just laying out the initial motivations for what you're doing. And I find them compelling. I am enjoying it. The story is leading me to a place where I really want to know what's going on, why certain things happen, and what I can do to stop them. So I'm excited to see where things go. I think next to story, or maybe equal to story, most people would say that an RPG's battle system is extremely important to the enjoyment of a game, because these games are, you know, tens of hours, if not hundreds of hours long, so you're going to be spending a lot of time with it. And the battle system in Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is a bit different from what you might have come across in other traditional RPGs. And for me, I find it, for the most part, pretty interesting. So looking at a screenshot or looking at footage of Xenoblade Chronicles, you might see the battle system and you're like, oh my god, there's so much stuff going on here, what the hell do I do? But the game does a really good job of explaining it, and honest to God, it is not anywhere near as complicated as the footage makes it look. Basically, you gain access to a whole bunch of different types of moves that you can do, and you move about on the battlefield and you engage with an enemy, and when the fight starts, basically all you do is use your icon, or you select an icon that is highlighted or lit up, I guess I should say, and you can perform that attack. And then you have to go through a cooldown period before you can use that attack again. The more you beat up enemies with other moves during this cooldown time, the faster those things will get back to a state where you can use them again. And honestly, that's pretty much it. I mean, for now anyway, for me, there are certain attacks that you'll want to use on enemy types to open them up or stun them, and then follow them up with another specific type of attack. So like, sometimes you'll go in to do a move and it just won't do any damage, but if you do that, if you do another move before it and somebody else in your party does the follow-up move, then you open up this enemy and you can really deal a lot of damage. So outside of that, yeah, that's it. It's really not complicated. Honestly, it feels like kind of like whack-a-mole. So you sit there on the menu, or not the menu, you sit there on the battle screen and you can move your character around and stuff like that, but you just wait for icons to light up, and when they light up you rush over and you hit them really quick because you're trying to land an attack, and then that's it. The enemy dies and you move on. My favorite part by far is the fact that after each battle, your characters get their health right back. Like, not right back, but within a couple seconds their health is back up to full, as long as you don't engage with another enemy. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, because in other traditional RPGs, you're always worried about when the next random encounter is going to pop up and maybe you don't have healing potions or you don't have whatever you need to get your character's health back, and then you die and you have to do a whole bunch of stuff all over again and grind through the same enemies again because you died the last time. But here it's not like that. That said, there is certainly still challenge because the battles you get into can be joined by other characters. Plus, the battles you get into with bigger enemies aren't going to be a walk in the park just because you have full health. These guys can hit really hard and take away your health pretty damn quickly. And you have different healing options during battle as well, but you got to be really careful and manage what's going on with their health on screen. So don't think just because you get your health back right away that you're going to be able to walk through this no problem. But it is, in my opinion, extremely refreshing to not have to worry about all that stuff when, go to a town and buy, 30 different healing potions to make sure you're okay out on battle, and then, you randomly bump into a few enemies that knock you out almost completely, and you're like, damn it, I wanted to save those health potions for the boss battle that I knew was coming up. So it's a little different here. The challenge is still here. I have died a few times while I was playing, but, I'm learning how to better manage my moves and manage how I'm playing and where I'm moving and what I'm trying to do. And it's been a lot of fun. Outside of that, it's been the usual RPG trappings. So, you go to towns and people are like, oh, my watch is broken, fix my watch. And you got to go find something on the map. And at least the map shows you exclamation points for where you need to go to do things. It's just little busy work that gets you experience or other items that might help you. And obviously you want to get different items to beef up your character. You can get new weapons, you can get new armor and things like that to offer better defense and other abilities as well. So it is important, and I said in the beginning that I'm afraid of RPGs, so I'm always worried that I'm going to be under-leveled, so I'm doing every little side quest I can possibly find, and so some of them are interesting, they have little fun stories to them, but other ones are there's one that's oh, I want to be friends with this guy, but I'm too afraid to talk to him. Go talk to him for me. And even in the game, Shulka's or I don't think it's Shulka, it might be one of the other characters, but they're why are we doing this? Why can't you do it? And me, as I'm playing, I'm yeah, why am I doing this? And it's literally two characters that are maybe 30 feet away from each other, and you just run back and forth between them and be hey, this guy wants to be your friend, but he's too shy to talk, and now you got to deliver the message back to the other friend. It just feels like padding. It's not anything. I would never play this game and be oh, you got to do the side quest where the two guys want to be friends. It's just something to level up and gain experience. So, like I said, the usual RPG trappings that are expected. More often than not, I end up, I'll read the first few lines of dialogue, and if it intrigues me, I'll actually read through it, but more often than not, I'm buzzing through the dialogue just so I can get to the mission and take care of it. So, but yeah, if you've played an RPG anytime over the last 35 years or so, you kind of expect that stuff from side quests. There's nothing mind-blowing yet. There's a couple in there that are a little more involved than just talking to people, but yeah, you got that stuff in there for padding. I want to stress that I have a lot more to do in Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I am cranking away on that right now. I will bring you my full review when the embargo is up, which isn't for a while, so I have plenty of time to continue through the game. But that's my impressions of what's going on so far. I'm having fun, I'm engrossed, I'm intrigued, I like a lot of what I see, and for a non-regular RPG player, I am having a very good time. So I'm seeing where all the praise came from, and I'm seeing why people really enjoy this game. And it's fun to get in on what I missed out on so many years ago. So I'm continuing through, and I'm excited to see what's next. And I'm also equally excited to tell you how I feel about the full game once I make it through all the way. So I'll be back with that when I am able to. But until then, thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting. It's very much appreciated. Also, a huge thank you to those of you who support me on Patreon. I really do appreciate it. It allows me to do videos like this and helps with the site, the podcast, social media, all that good stuff. So thank you very much. I greatly appreciate your support. If you want to learn more about the Patreon, which is just $1, you can check out the link in the description below. But as for today, that's it, and I will be back tomorrow as long as I have something interesting to show you. So until then, have a lovely day and a lovely evening, and I'll see you in a few short hours.